Now, if you want to get very good at handstand balance and always be able to catch and have a big balance window, meaning you can move it around, add on skills like handstand push-ups, press handstands, and everything in between, then there's a couple of tests that we need to do. We need to make sure, number one, that you can do this. We're going to kick up to the wall. I'm going to squeeze the legs together. I'm going to push through my fingers so the energy gets to the heels. It takes the heels off, but then I need to also be able to go all the way through. Now see how my heels have now gone past my hands and my shoulders have come forwards, and then notice I can go back to the handstand and back to the wall again. So we need to be able to do that back to wall. We can take our body off the wall, take it past the handstand and all the way back. So that's test number one. Test number two, we need to do exactly the same thing, but chest to wall. Can I slowly take my toes off the wall, hold the position for a few seconds, go to handstand, go past the handstand a little bit and return back to the wall with control. If you can do both of those things, you're going to have a very consistent handstand catch, a long handstand hold time, and a great foundation to build the press and the handstand push up on top. Now, if you can't do that yet, let's go through the foundations on how we build up to that type of control in the handstand. Number one, we need to make sure that we can comfortably get up into a handstand position on the wall like so, and I can hold here for time. Now I want to be able to stay here for around 30 to 60 seconds comfortably without collapsing, without making it a position that's not like our freestanding. We want to make it more like our freestanding hold and make sure that we only have our toes on the wall and we're not laying against the wall. So that's foundation number one, to make sure that's there. We need to understand our base, so where our hands are, the distance our hands need to be apart, where we're looking and where we position the shoulders. Now this is going to vary for everyone depending on flexibility, confidence and conditioning in the handstand. But a good rule of thumb is the beginner is going to go wider with their hands a little bit more turned out to create a bit more space. They might even have soft elbows. Ideally it wouldn't be and would be pushed up, but if your mobility is not amazing, you might need to buckle a little bit throughout the body and compensate, and try not to force yourself into the perfect position when you physically can't get into it yet. So the beginner might be more there, the intermediate person might be there, and the advanced person might be there for handstand balance. But that's something you might need to play around with, but make sure you have shoulders roughly on top of hands. If anything, they probably want to be a little bit more over than backwards, and a strong focal point. Where are you looking? Make sure that stays the same, both when I'm ready to kick up, when I kick up, and when I come back down again. So make sure that foundation is there, then we can kick to the wall. Notice the positions are still there. There's a little bit of an arch through the body because I need to be able to get myself to the wall. And if I'm going to stack like this, something needs to give to allow me to actually physically get to the wall. So there will be a little bit of an arch. Once you're in that position, squeeze the legs together, push through the fingers, make a conscious effort to push up and away until you can come off the wall like so. Now once we get good at this drill, that next piece of the puzzle is being able to take the shoulders slightly forwards, hips and feet go slightly back, and then return back again using the shoulders. But notice I'm not doing this with the shoulders. At no point am I pushing the shoulders through and doing this with my head, because what that does is it takes all the energy that direction. So make sure we're planted. Now that is going to take a bit of time if you don't have the conditioning, if you don't have the control of the kick up, and you can't yet pull away from the wall with quality, control, repetition, and clean technique, then you're going to spend a little bit of time there. It's going to take some weeks, even some months to build up to that point. Then we have the chest to wall drills. So again, comfortably walking up to a strong position that has a good foundation. Not this. We need to make sure we're here. The shoulders are very dominant in the position. I'm pushing away. And now watch what happens. My shoulders and hips come forwards. Now the shoulders are leading the way. What we don't want to happen is the hips to lead the way, because that's going to make you top heavy like so, and you're going to flick off the wall. We want the shoulders to take the hips with them forwards until the toes become light here. Now when they're light, I can push up and back to the wall. Once I'm good at that, I do exactly the same thing, but I do a little hold here. And then I push up, and notice the hips and the feet are still staying behind the shoulders. They're not going like this, because that's going to take me over towards my back. I want to make sure that the shoulders are still forwards all the time, and then I can go back to this position and choose to go back to the wall. Now that's exactly the same as I was doing back to wall when I take the hips and the legs a little bit too far forwards and the shoulders come back that way. Now in the mix there somewhere while you're working all those drills, we also need to be playing and start to experiment with freestanding balance. Just make sure when you are doing your freestanding balance, you're not breaking the rules that you set here. We need to make sure that we've got the strong base, the hands, the shoulders, the focal point. The kick up is slightly behind the shoulders. It might be a little bit bananaed, but notice the hips are not going over, and I'm not doing this with my shoulders. I need to make sure that the shoulders, the hands, the arms are always staying dominant in the balance and doing at least 51% of the work, ideally 80, 90% of the work, and then the hips and legs can do whatever they want on top. And then after 3, 6, 9, 12 months, 18 months, you're going to get to a point where you've got good control in the handstand, but it is something that you can constantly refine, even build up to do harder skills like the one-arm handstand and everything in between. But just know it's your journey and it takes everyone different times to build and strengthen their handstand. Let me know if you have any questions down below. Check out my app and my website if you're after coaching in any way. And if you're in the UK, I'll be there in August. Workshop details are down below as well.